Silence is not an absence, it is a presence. And to truly understand this is to take the first step on the journey of inner cleansing. Many people think that silence is simply what happens when there is no noise. But real silence is not about muting the world around you. It is about finding a deeper listening within yourself. In the stillness of silence, the truth begins to rise. And it is this truth that cleanses the aura. In the temple, the first thing we learn is not how to fight, not how to kick, or how to breathe in rhythm with our movements. The first thing we learn is how to sit still. Because if you cannot sit still with yourself, then everything else becomes a distraction. And the mind that is filled with distraction cannot hold clarity. If the surface of a lake is disturbed, you cannot see your reflection. In the same way, if the mind is constantly reacting, constantly stimulated by sound, words, images, opinions, notifications, then the deeper part of you cannot speak. You lose contact with your essence. And this disconnection is the very source of the energetic contamination we carry in our daily lives. The aura is not just spiritual poetry, it is the subtle field of energy that surrounds and radiates from every living being. It reflects the state of your internal world. When the mind is calm, the aura is clear. When the heart is open, the aura expands. But when your life is too noisy, too fast, too externally directed, your aura becomes clouded. Not because you are a bad person, not because you have failed, but simply because you have forgotten how to return to silence. There is a very important lesson the mountain teaches us. When you walk through the mountain paths, there is no urgency. The wind does not rush. The trees do not compete. The stones do not explain their place. And yet, everything is in harmony. Everything is just being. That is the language of nature. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the highest form of communication. But most people are too afraid of silence. When it arrives, they quickly turn on the television, they reach for their phone, they look for a distraction. Why? Because in silence, the mind becomes a mirror. It starts to reflect all the things you have been avoiding. And that is why silence cleanses, not because it hides your problems, but because it reveals them. It shows you your anger, your restlessness, your sadness, your regret. All the emotions that you have buried under constant activity begin to rise in the absence of noise. It is like stirring the bottom of a pond. What was invisible begins to come to the surface, but instead of being afraid of what arises, you must learn to observe it. Breathe with it, sit with it, let it rise, and then let it go. This is the beginning of energetic purification. You see, silence is not something you do, it is something you allow. There is a difference. Doing is an effort. Allowing is an opening. When you allow silence, you make space for something sacred. You make space for clarity. You make space for the soul to speak. In martial arts, we do not just train the body, we train the emptiness between the techniques. That pause, between the inhale and exhale, the moment between tension and relaxation. These spaces are filled with intelligence. But you must be quiet enough to hear them. When people come to me and say, I feel heavy, I feel stuck, I don't know why, the first thing I ask is not what happened. The first thing I ask is, when was the last time you were completely silent? Not just quiet, outside, but truly still inside. When was the last time you stopped running from yourself? Because if you want to clean your aura, you must first be willing to sit in your own presence without running. This is where healing begins, not in action, but in awareness. The mind is like a room, and every day you bring in more things, thoughts, worries, stories, memories, conversations. You keep adding and adding, but you never take time to clean. You never open the windows. You never let the dust settle. Silence is that moment when you open all the windows and you just sit and breathe. You begin to see the clutter. You begin to notice what doesn't belong anymore, and slowly you start removing it, not with force, but with clarity. When you sit in silence long enough, you begin to recognize a very important truth. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every emotion is yours to hold. Not every voice in your head is the voice of truth. Some are echoes of your past. Some are fragments of other people's opinions. Some are fears that do not belong to you. But when you are constantly distracted, you do not have the sensitivity to notice this. You carry everything, you absorb everything, and slowly your aura becomes dense, weighed down by the energy that was never yours to begin with. But in silence, the light of your awareness begins to separate what is real from what is illusion. You begin to feel what is truly yours. You begin to reconnect with your original energy, your essence, before the noise, before the conditioning, before the labels. And this reconnection is the ultimate purification, because the aura does not shine from what you add to yourself. It shines when you remove what is false. There is a reason why monks spend so much time in silence. It is not because they have nothing to say. It is because they are listening deeply. And through that listening, they are transforming. You see, silence is not passive. It is intensely active. It is an inner fire that burns away distraction, illusion, and emotional debris. It is the tool that brings you back into alignment, not through effort, but through presence. In this modern world, we are taught to always do more, accomplish more, speak more, share more. But sometimes the greatest strength is restraint. The greatest intelligence is stillness. The greatest discipline is the ability to sit quietly and face yourself. In that stillness, your aura begins to cleanse itself, like a wound that heals when you stop touching it. The energy field begins to realign when you stop disturbing it. Your aura is not only affected by what you consume through food or media, it is also affected by the quality of your attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And when your attention is scattered, your energy is scattered. But when your attention is inward, silent, grounded, your energy returns home. It reorganizes, it strengthens, and from that strength, you radiate clarity. This is why silence is the first cleanser. It does not demand anything from you. It does not judge. It simply invites you to return. Return to the center, return to the breath, return to that which is always present, always untouched by the external drama. In that return, healing happens, cleansing happens, not because you make it happen, but because you allow it. Many people try to change their life by changing their environment, changing their job, changing their relationships. And yes, sometimes this is necessary. But if you carry a chaotic energy within, then even the most peaceful environment will eventually reflect that chaos. The real change begins with the inner space. And silence is the doorway to that space. If you feel tired for no reason, if you feel emotional heaviness, if you sense something is off but you can't explain it, do not first look outward. First sit. First breathe. First be silent. Let the layers unfold. Let the emotions speak. Let the mind settle. And soon you will begin to feel a clarity that does not come from thinking. It comes from presence. In the Shaolin tradition, silence is a form of strength. It is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is a master's discipline. Because it takes great strength to hold your center when the world pulls at you. It takes deep awareness to remain still while everyone else is moving. But in that stillness, you become like the mountain, unshakable, grounded, radiating a calm power that needs no explanation. You do not need to escape the world. You do not need to live in a monastery. You only need to claim a few sacred moments each day. Moments where you are not performing, not pleasing, not proving, just being. And in those moments, the real cleansing begins. The energetic debris falls away, the tension in your shoulders softens, the fog in your mind begins to clear, and your aura, which was once dull and heavy, begins to shine again, not with effort but with truth. It is easy to keep running, it is easy to keep distracting yourself, but the warrior's path is not about ease, it is about mastery. And true mastery begins with inner alignment, with the courage to sit in silence and meet yourself fully, to meet your anger without judgment, to meet your pain without running, to meet your joy without clinging. Just sit, just breathe, just listen, and you will begin to notice that everything you were looking for, peace, clarity, strength, wisdom, was always there beneath the noise, hidden in the silence, waiting for you to return. Because silence is not empty, it is full of answers. It is the first cleanser, the first teacher, the first gate through which every seeker must pass. And when you do, your aura will no longer carry the weight of yesterday. It will shine with the presence of now. There is a principle that we often forget, especially in the modern world where everything becomes separated, compartmentalized. The body, the mind, the spirit. These are not isolated parts of us. They are different reflections of the same source. They interact, they influence each other, they are one. And so, if we speak about cleansing the aura, we must not ignore the body. Because your physical state, when the body is neglected, when it becomes stiff, tired and burdened, the aura also becomes clouded. But when the body is awakened through discipline, through breath, through intentional movement, then the aura also begins to shine with clarity. In the Shaolin tradition, we do not separate the spiritual from the physical. They are two sides of the same coin. When we train, we are not just building muscle or increasing flexibility. We are activating the energy lines that run through the body, the meridians, the joints, the tissues that store emotions, memories, tension. Each movement is a meditation. Each repetition is a ritual of purification. There is no wasted motion. Every stance, every breath, every shift in balance has meaning. And the more consciously we move, the more our inner world is affected. Many people feel disconnected from their own bodies. They live in their heads. They analyze everything. They try to heal their lives through thoughts alone. But the truth is, the mind cannot always solve what the body is holding. Sometimes you are mentally calm but still feel uneasy. You tell yourself to relax, but your shoulders are tight. Your chest is closed. Your breath is shallow. Why? Because energy is not only carried in the mind, it is stored in the tissues. Trauma, stress, emotional residue, these do not disappear just because we understand them intellectually. They remain in the body until we move them, until we release them. And that is why physical discipline is not just about fitness, it is about energetic liberation. In martial arts, we use the body as a gateway. Through the physical form, we learn to understand the formless. Every time we stretch, we are opening pathways. Every time we hold a stance, we are building internal stillness. When we kick, we learn precision. When we balance, we learn focus. These qualities are not just useful for combat. They are essential for life. And as you cultivate them physically, your aura begins to reflect them. It becomes more coherent, more stable, more grounded. You are no longer easily shaken by the emotions of others or the chaos of the world. You stand like a tree, rooted, present, alive. There is a reason why Qigong and Kung Fu are not just considered exercises. They are arts, they are methods of inner alchemy. Because when you move with awareness, you begin to transform. You begin to shift the inner chemistry of your being. You awaken the Dantian, the energy center located just below the navel. This is your inner furnace, your power source. When it is weak, your energy leaks. Your aura becomes fragile, but when it is strong, you radiate presence. People can feel it. You don't need to say anything. Your energy speaks for you. This is the real value of physical discipline. It is not about looking a certain way. It is about feeling a certain way, feeling clear, feeling strong, feeling connected. When you move with precision, when you train consistently, when you challenge the body and refine it, you are also training the mind to be focused. You are training the breath to be deep and steady. You are synchronizing all parts of yourself. And this synchronization creates harmony. That harmony expresses itself through the aura. It becomes a field of order amidst the noise, a space of calm amidst the storm. Most people today are overwhelmed not because they are physically weak, but because their energy is scattered. Their body is doing one thing, their mind is somewhere else, and their breath is shallow. There is no unity. And so the energy field becomes unstable. It picks up everything. Emotions from others, fear from the media, anxiety from the environment. You begin to carry what is not yours. But when you move your body with discipline, with intention, you create an inner coherence that acts as protection. The energy becomes centered, and from that center, you learn to recognize what belongs to you and what does not. There is an old teaching, where the mind goes, the energy flows, but we must also remember, where the body leads, the mind can follow. Sometimes we don't need more thinking, we need to sweat, we need to move, we need to feel the earth under our feet, the pulse in our chest, the fire in our muscles. In that physical intensity, something is released. Old emotions rise, old beliefs dissolve. You come back to life, not through thought, but through experience. This is why monks wake up early to train. Before the sun rises, we are already breathing, already stretching, already moving. Not because we want to be stronger than others, but because we want to be clearer than yesterday. The discipline of the body becomes the cleansing of the soul. You learn to carry yourself with respect. You learn to bow, not just to the teacher, but to the path, to the process, to the body that carries your spirit. Every time you discipline your body, you are telling your energy that it matters. You are telling your spirit that you are ready. You are creating a container that can hold more light, more clarity, more truth. But if the container is weak, cracked, unbalanced, then no matter how much you meditate or pray, the energy will not hold. It will leak, it will dissipate. And so we train, we sweat, we fall and get up again, not because we want to prove anything, but because we want to become a vessel for something greater. When the physical body is neglected, the energy field begins to attract confusion. You may notice it as fatigue, as indecisiveness, as emotional heaviness. You may try to fix it with more information, more stimulation, more outer activity. But the real solution is within. Go back to the basics. Move your body. Breathe with awareness. Stretch what is tight. Strengthen what is weak. Rest when needed. But do not abandon the body. It is your first temple. It is your first teacher. In traditional Shaolin practice, every movement begins and ends with the breath. The breath is the bridge, the link between the invisible and the visible. When you move and breathe together, you enter a state of presence. And in presence, healing happens naturally. You are not fighting the past. You are not fearing the future. You are here, fully. And in that fullness, your energy recalibrates. It finds its own natural rhythm. The body does not lie. You can pretend to be peaceful, but if your shoulders are tense, if your posture is collapsed, if your movements are clumsy, the body will reveal the truth. And so we use the body as a diagnostic tool. If the energy is stuck, we feel it. If the emotions are unresolved, we sense it. But we do not judge. We do not force. We simply return to the form, to the breath, to the practice. Day by day, little by little, the body becomes a vessel of clarity, and the aura becomes a reflection of that clarity. There is something very sacred in repetition, doing the same form, the same movement again and again. At first, it feels physical. You're learning where to place your feet, how to balance, how to coordinate. But as you go deeper, the form becomes a mirror. It shows you your impatience, your distractions, your mental noise. And then it shows you your strength, your perseverance, your quiet power. Through repetition, the movement becomes internalized. And when it is internalized, it becomes a part of your energetic signature. This is why physical discipline is not something to do occasionally. It must be consistent. Just like the body needs daily nourishment, the energy needs daily purification. And one of the most effective ways to purify the aura is to move the body with intention. You move to release, you move to realign, you move to remember who you are beneath the tension, beneath the stress, beneath the stories you've been told. Even something as simple as walking can be a cleansing ritual if done with awareness. Feel your feet touch the earth. Feel your breath match your pace. Let your arms swing naturally. Let your eyes be soft. In that simple act of walking consciously, you reconnect the circuits of your energy. You ground, you balance, you return. And when you combine that with more structured forms, Qigong, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, you begin to sculpt the energy body. You begin to create patterns of flow instead of stagnation. You replace chaos with rhythm, disconnection with integration, weakness with resilience. This is not about performing for others. It is not about how high you can kick or how long you can hold a pose. It is about the relationship you are building with your own energy system. Are you listening? Are you respecting it? Are you showing up consistently? Every drop of sweat, every disciplined breath, every conscious movement is a message to your energy. I am here. I am awake. I am ready to carry my own light. And that message echoes into your aura. It shapes how you are perceived, how you respond, how you influence the space around you. There is a certain dignity that comes from physical discipline. It is not arrogance, it is presence. When someone walks into a room who is physically trained and energetically aligned, you feel it, you sense it. Their aura does not shout, it resonates, it calms, it inspires, and that is not something you can fake. It comes from within. It is built one breath at a time. So if you're seeking to clean your aura, to restore your energy, to protect your peace, start with the body. Wake it up, train it with love, move it with awareness, and watch how your energy begins to shift, not because of magic, not because of belief, but because you are reconnecting the sacred circuit of body, mind, and spirit. Through this connection, the aura becomes pure, not from effort alone, but from harmony, from coherence, from the quiet power of physical discipline, lived as a daily practice. In the journey of life, it is not only about how much energy you cultivate, it is also about how well you protect it. A person can train, meditate, develop strength and clarity, but without awareness of where their energy flows and how it is affected by the world around them, they will constantly find themselves drained, confused, and imbalanced. To clean your aura, to preserve the clarity of your energy field, you must learn to establish conscious boundaries. Not walls of fear, not separation born from rejection, but clear and wise boundaries, rooted in self-respect, awareness, and discernment. Many people walk through life like open containers. Everything spills into them. The emotions of others, the stress of the environment, the noise of the world, all of it enters their field without resistance. They do not know where they end and where others begin. This is not compassion, this is confusion. True compassion has structure. It is not about taking on the suffering of others, it is about remaining strong enough to serve without collapsing. It is about being so rooted in your own energy that you can hold space for others without losing yourself in the process. This clarity begins with boundaries. A boundary is not a punishment, it is not rejection, it is a statement: this is where my energy belongs and this is where it does not. When you speak, act, and live from this clarity, your aura becomes defined, it has shape, it has stability. You are no longer like a sponge absorbing everything around you. You become more like a tree, still present, still connected to the forest, but deeply rooted in your own soil. You can hear the wind, feel the rain, witness the changing of the seasons, but you are not shaken at your core. Many people have never been taught the importance of energetic boundaries. They think being spiritual means saying yes to everyone, being available at all times, never asserting themselves. But this is not strength, this is not wisdom. In fact, this kind of openness often leads to depletion. And when the energy field is depleted, the aura becomes weak. It becomes fragmented. You feel scattered, fatigued, anxious without knowing why, because parts of you have been given away without intention. Pieces of your attention, your time, your care have been scattered across situations and people who were not meant to hold them. Conscious boundaries are the opposite of reaction. They are not created from anger. They are not about control. They are about choosing where your energy flows. Just as water needs a riverbank to flow with power, your energy needs direction. Without boundaries, energy leaks. It flows in too many directions at once. It loses potency. But with boundaries, energy gathers. It becomes focused, clear, powerful. Your aura reflects this. It becomes vibrant, resilient, magnetic. Not because you are closed, but because you are intentional. Every day you are in contact with different energies, people, places, thoughts, emotions. Some are uplifting, others are heavy. Some are nurturing, others are chaotic. You cannot control the world, but you can choose how you interact with it. You can decide what enters your field and what does not. You can decide what conversations you engage in, what media you consume, what environments you spend time in. These are all energetic choices, and each one either nourishes or depletes your aura. Learning to sense energy is a practice. At first, it may feel subtle, but with time, it becomes clear. You start to notice how certain interactions leave you feeling drained, while others leave you feeling uplifted. You start to sense when someone is pulling on your energy without awareness, when a space feels heavy with tension, when your own thoughts are being influenced by something external. This sensitivity is not a weakness, it is a strength, but only if it is combined with boundaries. Because sensitivity without boundaries leads to overwhelm, but sensitivity with boundaries leads to mastery. When your energy is clean, when your aura is bright, you naturally attract attention. People may be drawn to your calm, your clarity, your strength. This is natural. But not everyone comes with good intention. Some are drawn to your energy because they have lost contact with their own. They want to feed on your light, sometimes unconsciously. This is where you must be careful. Not fearful, but aware. You do not need to protect yourself through tension or aggression, but you must protect yourself through presence, through alignment, through clear choices. Sometimes protection means walking away from a conversation that no longer serves your growth. Sometimes it means saying no, not because you are rejecting someone, but because you are choosing yourself. Sometimes it means resting when others want your attention. Sometimes it means speaking your truth even when others do not understand. All of these are acts of boundary. All of these are acts of energy protection. And the more you practice them, the more you honor your own spirit. People often believe that boundaries are hard and rigid, but in reality, the most powerful boundaries are soft and steady. They are not barriers, they are invitations. If you want to be in my space, here is how we meet. Consciously, respectfully, honestly. These kinds of boundaries do not push people away. They invite the right people in. They create space for connection that is based on truth, not obligation, on presence, not performance. Your aura reflects the quality of your boundaries. When you give your time and attention out of guilt, the aura tightens. When you say yes while your heart says no, the energy field becomes conflicted. But when your actions align with your truth, the aura expands, it shines. It becomes a mirror of integrity. This is why every boundary you create is not just for protection, it is for purification. Each time you honor your energy, you are cleaning your field of anything that does not belong. Boundaries also apply to your internal world, not just with people, but with thoughts, with habits, with patterns. Sometimes the most important boundary is with yourself. To stop indulging in negative self-talk, to step away from stories of limitation, to stop giving your energy to distractions that numb rather than nourish, to recognize when you are sabotaging your own clarity through unconscious choices. Self-boundaries are the most difficult to establish, but also the most transformational. To clean your aura, you must become a guardian of your own field. This means learning to observe without absorbing, to witness emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them, to feel deeply but not drown. It means understanding the difference between empathy and enmeshment. You can care for others without carrying your burdens. You can be kind without sacrificing your own peace. You can serve without losing yourself. This is the balance of the warrior monk. Open heart, strong spine. Your presence is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Do not give it away carelessly. Not everyone is meant to access the depths of your being. Not every situation deserves your full attention. Learn to discern. Learn to listen inwardly before you respond outwardly. Ask yourself, does this nourish me? Does this drain me? Am I acting from truth or from habit? These questions bring awareness, and awareness is the first step to creating boundaries. Many spiritual traditions speak of the importance of the aura, the energetic field that surrounds the body. But this field is not static, it is dynamic. It changes based on how you live, how you think, how you act. When you set conscious boundaries, you are shaping this field. You are giving it structure. You are defining its edge. You are saying, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I will and will not allow. This clarity radiates. People feel it. Energies respond to it. Life begins to organize around it. This is not about control. It is not about trying to eliminate all discomfort. It is about recognizing your responsibility to tend your own fire, to preserve your own clarity, to hold your own center. When you do this, your presence becomes medicine. Not because you are perfect, but because you are aligned. Not because you do not feel pain, but because you do not allow pain to define you. Even in silence, boundaries speak. They say, I respect myself enough to be careful with my energy. They say, I am willing to be misunderstood in order to stay true. They say, my peace is more important than pleasing others. This kind of self-respect creates space for real connection, because when people meet you, they meet someone who is not leaking, not grasping, not performing. They meet someone whole, and wholeness is magnetic. Wholeness is healing. Wholeness is rare. There is great power in being able to say no with love, to say yes with clarity, to be still in the face of pressure, to be soft in the face of conflict, to be firm without being closed. These are the qualities of someone who understands their energy, who protects it not out of fear, but out of reverence, who knows that to truly serve the world, you must not lose yourself in it. Cleaning the aura is not only about removing what is toxic, it is about reinforcing what is true. Every time you choose alignment over approval, every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you choose inner peace over outer validation, you are strengthening your aura. You are making it more reflective of your essence and less reactive to the world. This is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice, a continual refinement. Boundaries are not signs of weakness. They are signs of maturity. They say, I know myself. I care for myself. I am willing to stand alone if that is what truth requires. In this way, boundaries are not the end of connection, they are the beginning of authentic connection. Because only when you are rooted in yourself can you truly meet another. Only when your energy is clean can you truly support others. Only when your cup is full can you truly pour into the world. And so, if you seek to clean your aura, begin by observing where your energy goes, where it is scattered, where it is being drained, and then ask yourself, what boundaries need to be created? What needs to be released? What needs to be reinforced? This is the path of energetic sovereignty, the path of returning to your center, the path of embodying peace, not as a concept, but as a state of being that radiates from within and is protected by the choices you make every day. Stillness is not something you seek outside of yourself. It is not found in the absence of sound or in a perfectly calm environment. Stillness is the silent dimension within you that is always present, always waiting, always watching. But to access it, to dwell in it, you must first remember how to be. Not to do, not to think, not to react, just to be. And it is in this being, in this inner silence, that something extraordinary begins to happen. The invisible becomes visible, what was hidden begins to rise. What you could not see in motion becomes clear in stillness. Most people run from stillness because they do not want to see. They keep themselves busy, occupied, stimulated. They surround themselves with noise, not just the noise of others, but the constant chatter of their own mind. They fear what will emerge in silence. But stillness is not your enemy. It is your most honest friend. It reflects everything: your peace, your tension, your clarity. It shows you not only the light, but also the shadows that you have ignored. It does not judge, it simply reveals. And in this revelation, there is a chance to clean, to purify, to release, to come home to what is real. The aura is like a lake. On the surface, you see the reflection of the sky, but beneath there may be mud, stones, leaves, disturbances that cloud the water. If the lake is constantly stirred, you never see clearly. Everything is in motion, the water is murky. But when the lake is still, the dirt settles. The reflection sharpens. The water becomes transparent. This is what stillness does to your energy. It settles the turbulence so you can see. Not through the eyes of thought, but through the awareness behind thought. It allows you to observe without interference. And what you observe, you can transform. What you see, you can release. You cannot clean what you do not acknowledge. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. Stillness gives you this confrontation, not in a harsh way, but in a gentle, silent way that does not demand, only invites. It says, sit, breathe, observe. Let everything arise: the anger, the sadness, the regrets, the mental noise, the old wounds, the subtle anxieties. Let them come, let them speak. Do not suppress, do not distract, just watch. Because only in this space of non-resistance can the hidden be revealed and the aura be truly cleansed. Sometimes people believe that purification means doing more: fasting, chanting, rituals, movements, and these all have value. But the deepest cleaning often happens in absolute stillness. When you stop trying to fix, when you stop trying to improve, when you simply become a mirror for your own experience, you begin to feel how much you carry. You begin to notice how tightly you hold on to control, how quickly you label what arises, how often you judge your own thoughts. Stillness reveals the mechanisms of your mind. And through this revelation, the automatic reactions begin to dissolve. It takes courage to be still, because stillness is honest. It will not flatter you, it will not entertain you, it will not distract you. It will show you exactly what is there. And often what is there is uncomfortable. But this discomfort is not punishment, it is purification. It is the body and mind releasing what has been trapped, what has been repressed, what has been hidden under layers of busyness and denial. You may feel old memories surfacing, old fears emerging, emotional residue rising to the surface. Let it come, let it pass. You are not these things. You are the space in which they appear and disappear. Many people confuse calmness with suppression. They sit in silence, but they are tense inside. They are forcing the mind to be quiet, but underneath there is a storm. This is not true stillness. True stillness is relaxed, open, spacious. It does not force the mind. It allows the mind to exhaust itself. And once the thoughts are no longer fed with resistance, they slow down on their own. Like a fire that dies out when it is not given fuel. And in this slowing, something deeper begins to emerge. A presence that is not thought. A knowing that is not intellectual. A peace that is not based on circumstances. Your aura, your energy field responds to this presence. It begins to reorganize itself. The patterns of tension begin to unravel. The heaviness begins to lift. The density begins to soften. Not because you are doing something, but because you are finally allowing space for what is essential to return. Stillness is not absence, it is fullness. It is not empty in the way the mind thinks. It is full of awareness, full of potential, full of light. And this light illuminates the places where your energy has been dimmed, where your clarity has been clouded, where your inner fire has been smothered. In the modern world, the nervous system is constantly under pressure. Notifications, expectations, conversations, movement, information. All of this creates subtle agitation, and this agitation disturbs the aura. It fragments your attention, it disperses your focus, and over time, it weakens your connection to your own center. Stillness is how you return, not by fighting the world, but by pausing, by coming back to the breath, by sitting with yourself even if just for a few minutes each day, and listening not to external sounds, but to the inner field of being. When you are still, you begin to see the difference between what is real and what is conditioned. You begin to recognize the voices in your head that are not truly yours, the ones shaped by fear, by comparison, by past trauma. You begin to feel the difference between the natural rhythm of your breath and the anxious rhythm imposed by stress. You begin to sense when you are aligned and when you are not. This awareness is what allows transformation to happen without force. Because the moment you see clearly, change begins automatically. The moment you see that a thought is not helping you, you stop feeding it. The moment you feel that a tension in your body is unnecessary, it begins to release. This is the intelligence of stillness. Stillness is not separate from life. It is not something you only practice in a quiet room. It is something you carry with you, into conversations, into decisions, into the way you move, the way you eat, the way you interact. The deeper your stillness, the more grounded your presence. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to listen without preparing a reply. You begin to notice the subtle energies in situations, and because you are not entangled in noise, you can act from clarity. This clarity keeps your aura clean, not because nothing affects you, but because you are no longer absorbing everything unconsciously. The mind wants to fix everything externally, but stillness reminds you that the source of clarity is internal, that you do not need to chase peace. You need only to stop moving away from it. It is already here, beneath the surface, beneath the thoughts, beneath the roles, beneath the tension, waiting for you to remember. And when you do, even briefly, you feel something shift. Your breath deepens, your shoulders relax, your thoughts slow down, your vision becomes clearer, not just physically but energetically. You begin to see life with less distortion. This is how the invisible dirt becomes visible, not through analysis, but through awareness. You begin to notice the patterns that drain you, the habits that distract you, the beliefs that limit you. And you do not need to fight them. You need only to see them clearly, because clarity is the beginning of freedom, and freedom is the ultimate purification. Not freedom from the world, but freedom from the unconscious reactions that bind you to suffering. Stillness is not passivity, it is deep listening. It is the space in which wise action is born. It is the foundation of all inner work. Without stillness, even the most spiritual practices become mechanical. But with stillness, even the simplest moment becomes sacred. Drinking water, walking, sitting, breathing. These become acts of presence, and presence cleans, it renews, it aligns, it strengthens, it protects. If your aura is the outer reflection of your inner state, then stillness is the mirror that reveals that state. It shows you where your energy is tangled, where your focus is fragmented, where your peace is disturbed. And it does so not to criticize, but to heal, to offer you the choice. Will you continue to carry this, or will you let it go? Will you continue to identify with every thought, every emotion, every role? Or will you remember that behind it all, you are the observer? You are the awareness in which all of this comes and goes. When you live from this awareness, your aura becomes less about performance and more about presence. You no longer seek to impress, you seek to be real. And realness is rare. Realness is magnetic. Realness is healing. Because it is not clouded by effort, it is not shaped by fear, it is not dependent on validation. It simply is. Like the mountain, like the sky, like the breath, still, silent, alive. There is a kind of beauty that emerges only in stillness. It is not dramatic, it is not loud, it is subtle. But once you feel it, you will never forget. It is the beauty of returning to yourself, of realizing that all along, you were never lost, only distracted, only moving too fast to see. And in this realization, the energy field softens. The old weight falls away, and the aura shines, not because you added anything, but because you removed what was never yours to carry. This is the power of stillness. This is the purification of silence. And this is the path back to your natural state. Not something to achieve, but something to remember, to live from, to embody.